So I just listened to really smart people talking about discovering what anger is. And these are people who work with as therapists or human emotions and researchers. And I was feeling, I don't know how to share this. It's like, okay, there is a part of me that feels hooked about like the conversation is still happening at the rational level, at the intellectual level. And we're still trying to make sense of anger and why is it there. And we have all of these different stories and theories and ideas and almost like some conclusions. And the conversation right now of what I could hear this man and some women talking was that is a anger management. This is like the first layer of working with anger. Okay, when you start noticing that you have a problem with anger, then the first reaction, the first kind of like action plan that you have is to manage it. Okay, how do I manage this? And this is kind of like the most common sense option, like from the menu that we get offered in mainstream culture. There is like a restaurant menu, and then you have, okay, if you have anger, then you have anger management, and then or psychiatrist or go to a therapist. And the conversation right now, what I could sense in that talk is that it's at trying to fix yourself, trying to change the anger, trying to even like this consideration of controlling your anger, managing your anger. And even though that these are all possible and very awesome ideas and very, I mean, this is what we've been trying as humans for the last 100 years, or perhaps even more for the past 500 years. And it doesn't, there is a part that is missing in this conversation, the feeling of anger, the actually feeling the anger. Like in that conversation, there is a everybody's talking from what I could sense and scan. Of course, these are my assumptions and my own kind of like part of my hook is that they're talking about anger. So they create this separation between them and anger. So most of them, they were saying, I have problems with anger. I know these things about anger, and still at home, when I got home or when I'm driving out in the street, I have problems with anger. And there is still this separation, like they're not bringing their anger to the space. There is still like this talking about anger, which is not the same thing as anger. And what I have discovered in working with anger and seeing other people angry and using their anger consciously is that anger is a massive resource. And it's not just a resource, it's a field that is in the air. And it's a one of the divine connections, the one of the connections that one of the forces that connects you with the divine, with this force that many call God, or that this force of life. And there is this consideration that anger is still a designer, that anger is bad, anger is wrong, it needs to be removed. And the conversation is not in that was happening, that I was hearing, is not so much on that is bad, but that there is a part of it that is bad and another part of it that is good. And then it goes into this religion of good and bad. And it's again like a limited conversation. It creates a very limited conversation, and also a place of where it's so easy to go into repression, repressing your anger, not feeling like what you're actually angry about, not allowing yourself to feel your anger. So one of the things that I've been cultivating is creating the space for the my anger to exist. Doesn't matter if it's good or if it's bad, and to allow myself to feel it. And one of the biggest things that I've been working on is on my fear of anger, my fear of getting angry, feeling angry, and even using my anger. You can feel anger from 0 to 100%. So 0 is no anger, or 1% is no anger, and then 100% is 100% anger. When you are like shouting, screaming, you're just like a volcano erupting. And this is the massive expression of anger. And this is when it touches on archetypal levels of anger. And it's not easy to get there consciously. It's not easy to, it's not a like a common practice. It's not in the menu of mainstream culture that you can at any time get to 100% anger and have no like no negative consequences, like getting to an institution or getting in prison. So one of the things that I've been creating is spaces for feeling your anger. So I can create space inside of me that I can be okay with feeling angry, and like that I can let the water boil, and then my body get hot, and actually let the feelings come up and become angry. And this is very different than thinking about anger, than talking about anger. And it's really like an amazing experience of that. It liberates so many of your resources. It allows you to connect with something that is called your archetypal anger, or archetypal anger, because it's not yours. It's a field. And this archetypal anger is like the anger of Gaia, the anger of the earth, this living planet where we are living, which also has feelings and emotions. And connecting with that field starts flowing resources towards you that you can become a channel for, that can become in service to the things that you are here for. So if you are somebody who cares about building community, about creating systems, regenerative systems, growing food, bringing people together, seeing love happening in humanity, creating spaces where teamwork is possible and where the human potential can really open up and flourish. Your anger is this resource that you can tap into to bring in your voice, to bring in the things that you care about, to align yourself with the things that are bigger than you, with the forces, these forces that also want these things to exist in the world. And you can, with your anger, allow yourself to feel anger and more angry. You allow that clarity to come to you, and you become a voice for these forces to come through, so you can bring this thing forward. Of course, it's not a clear science. It's a soft skill that needs development, and that needs decontamination of your being, because we are humans, and we come into this world. We are complex beings, and we have many different parts, and parts that come at play at any moment. We have our things from our childhood, things from past lives, and even like energetic, invisible forces that are at play at all the time. Even when we can't see them, we are in the midst of all this. We are connected with the energetic forces that we can't see. So because we have all of these different parts, it takes that navigation and that finding of your way, that experimenting, finding the thing that works, and what works for you. What is the resources that you are connected with? What is it that you care about? What is it that you could turn on a camera and talk about for hours? What is it that you are turned on to bringing into this world? And this is the one of the, like, it was barely graced in this conversation, which it seems to me to be at the edge of what of the conversation that is happening in the world. So right now I'm using my anger consciously to, but also I'm using my anger, but also my other feelings to touch on this edge that I was talking, and to paint a doorway in that. Is like, hey, this conversation that is being had, there is something beyond that. There is something that is not being talked about. And is this part about feeling the anger, not just talking about it. So when you sit in a room with people and you become angry, allow yourself to get angry, and get angry and speak from your anger about what you're angry about. And this is the very rare spaces that happen mostly behind the curtain with therapists. Maybe you're okay to do in a safe space with a therapist. But what about the possibility to doing that not just in your therapist's office, where you can allow yourself to be in a team with people and allow yourself to become angry and see what happens? What about these experimenting spaces? What will happen? What happens for you when you become alive from feeling your anger? And it's not bad. It's not this thing that's pushing you down. It's not this thing that is attacking other. It's not. And at the first, it might be messy. It might be like that. It might be that you're pissed off, resentful. You hate the world. You hate how things are going, and that's how it might be at first. To that thing that brings you aliveness when you get angry. But then what happens as you cultivate your connection with this force, and you do your emotional healing processes on the side from whatever comes up, then you start gaining the access to this force that connects you to something different, that is a field that is not draining you out of energy, but that is actually giving you energy. and that is connected with your voice, with your with what you care about. So this is the invitations that I have for this group and these spaces about that a doorway, and there is that doorway about what about this? What about feeling your anger? What about instead of having an intellectual conversation about anger, that you can have a space where you can feel your anger and experiment with that thing. And this is the very little spaces that are out there. There's not many spaces where you can become angry and speak from your anger, because there is still this, I suspect that there is still lots of fear and lots of this is like safety, playing safe of talking about anger. We're talking about anger, let's be rational about it. I can have this idea and you can have this idea and I have this idea and I have this theory and maybe this could work, and it's dead. It's like fucking dead. Like when you're angry, like it's a totally different feel. It's like you're in a totally different dimension. You're not operating on the mind level, which has its own speed and its own rules and laws. But you're on the emotional level. You are working with your heart, and the heart is alive, and your heart is in the space. You're breathing. You are feeling. You're erupting, and it might be messy, it might be great, there is no judgment of it, it's just aliveness happening. This human being is alive, he's feeling angry, she's feeling angry. Yes, go feel your anger. This has been stuck there for so long and you haven't had a space to say it. And this is what's possible in these spaces where you go beyond talking, analyzing, and giving labels and kind of like systematizing your anger, instead of going into that, crossing that doorway into from your mind to allowing yourself to feel. Now it's kind of like getting carried away there, and it's just like I have so much passion for this. Like there's just so much in there that is in me, and I'm turned on about the transformation that this could create in the world. This created transformation for me in that now I can hold space for these things. I can see somebody else who's angry and I don't have this thing that's good or bad. And yes, like I'm still working on it. Like I'm still like there is still sometimes when somebody gets mad and I take it personally, for example, or I take it as a judgment or as a criticism of myself. And this is when I practice my anger to stay centered. Say, I notice I got hooked, and then I can take back my center and say, okay, that is their communication, that is their feelings, this is their emotions, this is what they're expressing, and I don't have to make it my problem. I don't have to make it mine. I can still stand here with my integrity, with my energy, with my aliveness, and hold space for them, or be with them while they are feeling, not from this place of numbing or killing myself or sacrificing myself, but actually being alive in my heart, being in my body. And this is the practice. This is like to me, the next field that is beyond that doorway that I that where most of humanity is, which is talking about anger, rationalizing anger, thinking about anger with very little, feeling the anger consciously from 0 to 100% with others in connection with your team. This is something very awesome, and that I want to invite. I'm a doorway for this, and I have others who are a doorway for this kind of work. And there is spaces happening where this is possible all the time, all over the world, at all times, online and in person. So if this is something that you want to do, reach out to me, post a message, like and subscribe this video, and then get in, like start that research. And the other cool thing is that doorway, after crossing that doorway, the other feelings start becoming alive too. Then you start getting access to being able to feel more of your anger, which is your clarity, your capacity to say yes and no, your capacity to set a boundary, to say stop, to say what you want. And at the same time, this is the unconscious part of your anger also becomes more visible, which is your resentments, your jealousy, your hatred. And then this is what I think that what you want. I think that you want these things to, instead of being trapped in there and kind of like running your life on unconsciously, that they become visible. And this is the big work that now these things are visible. Now you have a different problem. Now your problem is not that they're stuck down there and that you don't have clarity, you're confused, you are depressed, but now you are angry. You are noticing when you are hating somebody or judging somebody, and then this starts activating the more of your emotional field. And this is great news, because this is you're now connecting with your humanity. You're starting to feel, you're starting to get your compass of reality calibrated. You're starting, because your feelings are directly connected with what you care about, with what you want in life, with what your boundaries are. So getting in touch with your feeling is the same thing as connecting with your purpose. And every moment you are feeling something, every moment there is a feeling that is happening: anger, sadness, fear, or joy. You can use this map as a map. All maps are wrong, or all maps are conceptual. And this is a map that helps to navigate the emotional field: anger, sadness, fear, and joy. And then you can start like seeing, like, what do I feel angry about? And then it starts growing this awareness, and at the same time it activates the other feelings, like your sadness. You gain more capacity to feel your sadness. A lot of the time I've seen people going into deep fits of rage, or deep expressions of rage, and then shortly after they go into pouring their eyes out, crying, and so much information coming through about, like, things that they hadn't say, about things that happened with their partners, about things that happened when in their childhood. Yeah, it's like the anger, it unbottles these emotions that have been there stuck for so long. At the same time, I've seen this happening for fear. And for me, the fear goes more into a shutting down, where I'm like feeling the anger and then I shut down. And then there might be a feeling of sadness that comes up about not being able to feel my fear and anger. So it's messy. The feelings field and your emotional body, it can be messy. And at first, after bottling up, living in a culture where we are taught to bottle up our feelings and emotions, at first it is like unbottling a can of worms, where you like, and then like all of the shit comes off, and there's just like like more shit and more shit and more shit. And then I don't know if it has an end. I haven't seen it yet, and I'm looking forward to seeing, like, I had glimpse of it, where after having a rage practice, for example, or being in a space that really fits my being, that at the end I feel like clear, clear with my emotions. I can like sense like when, like, where my compass is turning into: anger, sadness, fear, and joy. Which one is highest? How much percentage? And have this clarity to navigate, being unhookable. And other times I'm covered in this shit. So I don't know if it has an end, but it has this purpose where your aliveness is coming through. You're more in connection with your heart, which becomes like a compass of what you care about. And this is that doorway again, pointing that doorway. How about feeling your anger instead of talking about anger? What if you stop believing all of these things that you had about anger, all this theory, all of this controlling and breathing in and regulating yourself, and starting going into this place where you start feeling more of your anger? This is the doorways and the invitation that I have for all of you who are watching this. And I have so much more to say about this, and I'm still an explorer. I'm not an expert. I'm still discovering so much of what it's like to allow myself to feel my anger. What is it like to be alive with my partner when she's angry and I am also angry, and I am not angry like this, like I'm angry at you, or it's not. I'm not talking about this pointy anger, but that I am angry about having a clear relationship. I am angry about having a clear collaboration with you. I am angry about love happening in my space with you. I am angry about creating an extraordinary life. I am angry about not creating low drama in my relating space with her. This anger, that's the kind of anger I'm talking about. And I'm still in that question. I'm still on that edge, and this is the doorway that I'm inviting others to be in, other man, other woman, to be. How can I feel angry? Use my anger as a resource. Be clear. Have access to my sort of clarity, which is my yes, my no. Yes, fuck yes, or fuck no. And there is no fuck maybe. And having access to that while being in connection with another, without allowing myself to be say that I am wrong, or that I am evil, or that I am bad for feeling angry, or that I am an asshole, or I am an inconsiderate son of a bitch. Whatever the judgment or consideration is, I don't have to get hooked to that. I can hold my center, I can hold my boundary, I can be angry, I can be alive, and I don't have to take on other people's problems, other people's projections or expectations of me. And this is the edge that I'm working on, and that I'm also inviting others to go into. So thanks again for watching, and I'll catch you again in the next time. Bye for now.